Welcome to Women Entrepreneurs Radio. I'm your host, Deborah Bailey. And when I started this show in 2008, I was on a mission to promote women-owned businesses and help women succeed by providing resources and valuable tips from other women and men, small business owners. In each interview, my guests speak openly about their triumphs, the scary times, and tough decisions they had to make along the way. Women Entrepreneurs Radio is about showing women how to harness their natural strengths to achieve success on their own terms. Hi everyone, welcome to Women Entrepreneurs Radio with your host Deborah Bailey, and I'm really glad you could join me today. And if you are listening to this show on Podomatic, please also go to iTunes and you can subscribe to this show there. Just look for Women Entrepreneurs Radio and subscribe, listen to the show. I hope you will also take a moment to share your review. That would be great. It will also help the show to be found by other people. So wherever you're listening to it, if you're particularly on iTunes or listening using a different platform, then certainly please make sure to share your review. And you could also come to womenentrepreneursecrets.com, which is the blog. And if you want to give some feedback there as well, there's a place that you can enter that. And if you're interested in being on the show, you can also find out more about that by sending a query through the blog, or you can click on the podcast tab in the menu, and you will learn more about the show and also be able to download the show guidelines. So I hope that you will check that out as well. And if you want to know more about me and my books, I'm up to, you can go to dbaileycoach.com, and there you will see a listing of books and blog posts and different other coaching things that I have available. So I hope you'll stop by there as well. So I'm going to get started, introduce my guest who's been on the show a few times over the years, but unfortunately she hasn't been back for quite some time. Last time we were just talking that she was here 2013, and it shows how fast time goes by. And I'm really glad that we were able to connect again to have her on, because it just doesn't seem like it was that long ago. But I'm going to include a link to that show, so you could also check that out as well if you want to after you listen to this. So let's jump right in. And Tanea Smith is a mom, inspirational business speaker, and a lover of all things paper. And she knows the power of the written word so well because it changed her life. After 12 years in corporate America and the birth of her second child, she founded She's Got Papers, a boutique and concierge stationery company. A born storyteller, Tanea is a highly sought-after speaker and loves sharing her message at corporate sales meetings, women's business groups, retreats, churches, as well as colleges and universities. And she's spoken at St. John's University, City College of New York, and New York University. And she has a PhD in anything is possible. And she's an honorary member of Alpha Kappa Psi fraternity. So welcome back to the show, Tanea. I'm really glad to have you here.
Thank you so much, Deb. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, we were chatting before, and I was like, okay, we have to make sure we save that good stuff for the recording.
Yeah, I know. We almost got carried away, right?
I don't want to lose all this good stuff, you know, because you get into it. So, like, sometimes I'm like, okay, let's get the recording going, because
right.
you know, guests are so enthusiastic and they want to say so much, and that's great. But I just want to make sure that the listeners don't lose out.
Right. On our girl chat, right?
Yes, you know, because they need to hear this too. But, you know,
they do.
As I was saying before, I usually ask people just to share a little bit about how you got started. And that is really going to help to, you know, transition us into the main topics of what we're going to talk about today. So that's a perfect place to start. So, Tanea, you know, how did you get started in what you're doing?
I started She's Got Papers, my inspirational stationery company, 11 years ago. 11 years ago, and I should go all the way back to when I was 11 years old. My sister took me to Chinatown, and she bought me my first journal. And I was hooked. So I've been keeping a journal since I was 11. And in 2007, after the birth of my daughter, I started She's Got Papers. And as we discussed on the last podcast, I was a paper junkie. My sister and I were paper junkies, if there's such a thing, right? And we wanted to originally do She's Got Papers as a store, like a Kate's Papery, but with our own spin. And when we didn't do that, I started it on my own, and I did it online, and I knew from the gate I have to do something really different. I knew I had to do something that was really niche and something that wasn't out there. And when I started to put the She's Got Papers woman together and kind of identify what she looks like, where she shops, what her interests are, what are her friends like, I said, wait a minute, I need to do something that reflects life, right? So when I meet all these fabulous women, when I go out to sell and to speak, and they'll say to me, what's the occasion? And I say life. These cards are all reflective of life. So when you buy a She's Got Papers card, thank you for being a friend. We can all send that card to someone, right? Now playing a brand new beautiful you, which I designed for my Aunt Renee. You have a woman in your life that you can send that to. One of my newer pieces, don't forget to do you, because we're doing everything else and we're taking care of everybody else, but we're forgetting about us. So I wanted to do a piece that could send a message to, a friend who is really worn out, doing everything else for everybody else, and she's forgetting to love herself, to walk in faith, to exercise, to kick off those heels, and to take a deep breath. So this line has really, I like to say that it's gone in a really organic direction, because in some of my first collection, it was love of self is the greatest gift. So I've just continued to take those themes and build on them. But when I started the business, as we were talking about earlier, it was my side hustle, right? So I had a full-time job at the time, and I kept that job for many years and had She's Got Papers on the side. The difference was, for me, I didn't treat it like a side business. So I work with women all the time, and they say, well, my family doesn't support the business and my friends don't take it seriously. And I say to them, do you want to know why? Deb, because they don't. They don't. They don't. If they don't, there's a way to show up in every area of life, be it personal or business. You got to show up. And I'm gonna, be a little bit blunt. You can't half-ass it. So when I ran my business while I was still working, I had three things that I did, right? And I always tried to steer women into the right direction in terms of juggling, because it really is, you juggling almost like a circus act. You are juggling, okay? And I had family, I had, full-time job, I had business, and so I'm juggling, and I'm really trying to keep it on track. So I had three things. I had a morning ritual. I had a coffee guy who I missed. He was my coffee guy for 10 years. So I would walk up to the truck. He would give me my coffee. We would chat, except on Mondays, he didn't speak a syllable to me, because on Mondays, I would be on the warpath. These days, not so much. Now that I'm running my business full time, these days, not so much. I get up in the morning and I somersault down my hallway, to my office. But John was my guy. If you're out there, John, I miss you. But I would get my coffee. I would go upstairs to my office, but I would have to sit down and I would just write everything out, right? And it would just be my top three things that I had to do. That was one thing that I did every single morning. I had my coffee, I read my horoscope, and I wrote out my top three. I don't make a move till I read the scope, but I would write out my top three things. Rain, shine, I would do that, okay? The second thing I did was I took my lunch break every day. right? Because between 2 and 3 o'clock, I had to do business. Every day between 2 and 3 o'clock, I was at the Hyatt. If you was looking to assassinate me, catch me at the Hyatt. Every day from 2 to 3, okay? And you have to develop a routine, right? You have to develop a routine for getting things done, okay? The third thing I did in juggling all this, you have to be discreet. We start businesses and it's on the side, and then, you know, let's say, for instance, you bake cupcakes. And you started this business, and then you want to bake cupcakes, and you want to take them to the office, and then, no. They're in the business that they're in. If it's insurance, if whatever, but at the end of the day, they're in the cash business. They're not in the bakery business. Nobody cares, right? And I think that, and I've had many women that I've spoken to and worked with who have said to me, as soon as I told them about my business, the whole dynamic changed. You have to be discreet, because at the end of the day, nobody cares. And at the top line is their bottom line. They're not paying you to bake. They ain't paying you for banana bread. They're paying you to come to work, right? Right? No, really, because they can get their bread elsewhere. It's really not about your bread. And I think that that's a hard lesson that sometimes we have to learn. So those were the 3 things that I did in just keeping those 2, I call it the separation of church and state, keeping those 2 things separate. Now, of course, they knew I had my business. I worked in in finance and the securities business. So you have to, of course, you know, fill out your compliance forms. And, you know, years ago when our parents had side jobs, it would be like moonlighting, right? Remember they called it moonlighting?
Yes.
There's no such thing as moonlighting today. Everything that you're doing, you know, with the explosion of social and all, everybody knows, right? But there's still a way that you can keep those worlds separate. So that was something that was really important for me, you know. And then, of course, my close friends at my job, you know, we would have discussions or whatever it was, but I wasn't coming in, look at this paper. And no. Well,
okay.
That's that.
I'm still waiting for it.
Oh, no, that was that. Listen, period.
Going. I'm like, there's more here, girl.
Oh, no.
The girl's preaching.
Oh, no, Dad. Period. End of story. Period.
I'm ready to get my church fan out.
Oh, no. Period. No. And here's the thing. No. Here's the thing. Many people won't tell you that. Right? Many business coaches or what have you will say, you know, cast your net out there. Everybody's your customer, not the people that's paying you to do their work. That's not your customer, my love. He's not your customer, you know? And no, he's not. He's not your customer. Now, maybe down the line, he can be your customer. But
right.
For today, right now, while you're on his payroll, he's not your customer.
Right.
He's not your customer. So that's the first thing that I would say. That's the main thing that I would say. Like I said, period. Period. Yeah, period.
You're right.
Period.
You're right. And the thing is, like, I had gone to coach training, and they never really told people about business. They didn't teach you how to have a business. They taught you the concepts of coaching and what you're supposed to do as a coach. But then when that was over and people were like, okay, I want to start something, they were like, oh, well, their advice was, well, just, you know, get some clients and coach them for free. And then magically you're supposed to know how to transition that into pay.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Right. Yeah.
And how would you know?
You wouldn't.
Right.
And so much of it in the beginning really is finding your way. You know, figuring out what makes sense for you. Right? Yeah. Yeah.
That's true. And not really even knowing the way, because, you know, just to kind of, you know, what you're saying about you have you're working for someone and you go in and you do your job and whatever you're feeling that day, you're still going to get your check.
Right.
When you
it's
go
so
and,
true.
And
it's
do
so
this
true.
and that, you know, and after they've shown you, okay, this is what we want you to do, But when you're on your own, and that's something you're also going to speak on, it's a whole different thing. You know, so
it is a whole different thing.
Why don't we chat a little bit about that? You know, because it is not the same experience, and you have transitioned out. So what are your thoughts on this?
You know, I transitioned out, but I did it at the right time, if you will. I knew I was leaving. And you always know, whether people speak it out loud or not, you always know this is coming to a close. My grandmother used to say, the mark of a good guest is knowing when to leave the party. It's nothing like having a party. No, here it is. It's nothing like, and here's the best analogy I can use. It's nothing like having a good house party. You know, you got a good, no, really. Yeah. One of those old-fashioned house parties when your mother broke out her album. You know how my mother is about a record player. So she broke out her album, she was playing Aretha, right? She was playing Aretha, and she was playing James Brown. And everybody's on the floor, and they getting down. And my father broke out his bar, Top Shelf Liquor. And everybody's having a good time, right? Everybody's having a good time except your neighbors who you invited. You wouldn't normally invite them, but you're having a party, so you let them come on over. Okay? And they're having a good time except now it's 3:30 and the party is over. Most people have gotten their coat, okay? Caught a cab or gotten back in the car that they came in, okay? And your neighbor and her old man, they still on the floor. You have cut the lights on, okay? You done put the food away, all right? And they still on the floor. Let me tell you something. That ain't a good guess. So, for me, I knew, right? No, but have you been to a party like that?
Yes,
right? Have you done a party when you were like, yeah, exactly. And Dad, you like, she ain't never coming to nothing else. Like that. Right? So my mother, God bless her. My mother ran the back end of my business for me when I was at work, because I was at work all day. And every day at 2:00 on my way to the Hyatt, I would call my mother because we needed to discuss whatever I needed her to do and, tying up loose ends or whatever it was. And my mother said something which I thought was so important to me, which was really, important at that time. She said, Tanea, you're hanging on by your fingernails. I literally was hanging on by my fingernails, Dad, because here's what happens. Like I said, I was there for 12 years. So at that point, for 20 years, from the time I got into corporate up until I left there, for 20 or 21 years, I had some place to go and somebody to pay me, okay? And my mother said, you have to let it go, Tanea. You have to let it go. And that's something that mentally you have to be ready for. You have to be ready for that in your mind first. Okay. And then everything else comes behind. So when she said, Tanea, really, you got to let it go. You're waiting for something monumental to happen. And that's in a lot of businesses we're waiting for that client. We're waiting for Oprah to call. She ain't calling. It's not your time. No, it's not your time. Right? So what happens is you have to say to yourself, I have to make this move or not. Okay? I have to make this move or not. And I believe Steve Harvey talks about making the leap. You have to jump. You have to take the jump, right? And I always felt like my mother said, something monumental was going to happen. Mm-hmm. Nothing happened, Dad. Nothing happened. Mm-hmm. That was monumental in terms of it's not how I thought it was going to look, right? Mm-hmm. And I was having my mid-year review, and every year when I had my review, I had this thing I would do in my head. I would fill out the paperwork, and I would say, Tanea, you're going to really do this. You're going to rededicate yourself. You're going to be a team player, and you're going to – and Deb, when it came time for my mid-year review, I called my sister, as I told you, the wizard of human resources, and that is her career for real. Mm-hmm. I said, oh God, I can't do it. I just can't do it. In my head, mentally, I had timed out. And she said to me, Tanea, it's time. Like, what are you holding on for? And what you're holding on to is what you think is your security. This is your blanket, right? You can't let the blanket go. It's pink and it's soft. It could be cashmere, right? Mm-hmm. Another issue for me was, you know how you have a job, but you can't stand the people. You hate them, Deb. Mm-hmm. You hate them, right? Mm-hmm. And not only do you hate them, you overworked and you're really underpaid. You ever had a job like that?
Yes.
Okay, yes. But here's the thing, Deb. Here's the thing. That wasn't my story. Deb, that was not my story, okay? No. I genuinely liked the people that I work with. It was an awesome job. If I wanted to be in that industry, that was the job to have. They had offered to advance, promote me. That is not what I wanted. In my soul, in my spirit, it's not what I wanted. It wasn't. So think about having to walk away from that, okay? And, they talk about the golden handcuff. You ever heard that? No. This one was platinum. And then he found out my birthday, and then he put rubies in it. It really was. It really was. And I sat down, and I had the conversation, and I said, I just really feel like, it's time for me to go. And I'm going to tell you something. My grandfather taught me something that was really important. Two things. He said, first of all, wherever you go, know somebody. Mm-hmm. Like my grandfather was known all over, Brooklyn because he was Smitty, right? And everybody knew him. And that's why my mother and her siblings couldn't do wrong because he would, the people in the street would say, you little Smitty, like that. Mm-hmm. But that was one of his things. Wherever you go, know someone. But lesson number 2, which is really important, and I carry this throughout my life, leave each place you've been better for you having been there. I'm going to tell you that my exit was fantastic. Mm-hmm. It was fantastic. Mm-hmm. And I think it was fantastic because of the way I conducted myself. I could have held on, but by my nails, like my mother said. And if you know me, you know how I feel about my nails. And okay. And I could have. Mm-hmm. And I could have talked myself into, but really, Dad, it was time. It was time. And I said, Tanea, you have to own the space that you're in right now. And you have to let go, knowing how prepared you are, because I had prepared financially. And I had prepared, so the mind, and it really goes to show you how important your mindset is. Mm-hmm. All of your power lives in your mind, Dad. It lives in your mind. Mm-hmm. It's like the first time I walked into corporate America, the first job I ever had was at a Japanese investment bank. I walked in, when I got on the elevator for the interview, I said, I'm going to get a job today. I said, I'm going to get this job. Mm-hmm. I had decided that in my mind. I had already worked through my interview, what I needed to say, the key points that I needed to make. But all of that started in my mind. When I was pregnant with my son, I was pregnant. It was hot as the blazes, and OJ was under arrest. But when I sat on my couch, okay, in my living room, I would write in my journal as I was collecting $109 every 2 weeks, from welfare, $212 in food stamps. I would write in my journal, this is not my reality, period. So I knew about transitions because for as long as we live, we're in one state or another of evolution and transition. You're always transitioning, whether you're acknowledging it or not, whether you're walking toward it or not. I talk to the women in my workshop about acknowledging the whisper. There's always something in the back. You call it whisper, you call it intuition, that's telling you it's time for you to make a move. Go this way, don't go that way. And if you don't listen to the whisper, it costs you. I was hanging on by a thread at that job. I kid you not. So it was freeing for me. You know, when I left, I got a fantastic send-off, a custom cake, okay? A custom sheet. No, they had a custom cake made for me, Deb. Let me tell you something. I felt as I walked down the block on my last day, I just said to myself, okay, God, I did it. Now show me what you got. And and everything was ready. My office was ready for me. James had furnished it for me, you know, for Christmas. I left in August. My home office was fully furnished that December, okay? And so when I left, my mother said to me, she said, Tanea, do me a favor. I said, okay, August 16th was my last day. She said, do me a favor. I said, okay. She said, I want you to spend the next 2 weeks and don't do a damn thing. For 2 weeks. Here's why. And she was absolutely right, Deb. She said to me, it's going to take you about 2 weeks to come down. Don't forget, I have been in this routine for over 20 years, right? It's like when people retire and then they go home and then shortly thereafter they pass away. That routine, you better have something lined up for him to do. Because when he retires, no, there's nothing. There's nothing. Right? So when my sister talks about you don't leave the job, you leave the people. No. What I missed most was the people. That energy, you know, that whether you want to be bothered or not, so-and-so is going to come by your desk and tell you something about his weekend and you don't give a damn. But the energy is there, right? So you miss that. You miss having some place to go every day, right? And like we said earlier, I tell people, kids, don't try this at home, okay? The entrepreneurial walk is not for everybody, okay? My business is not what it was when I left. My path is not what it was the path that I thought I was going to take. It ended up morphing so organically. And that's the thing. Sometimes you pushing upstream. You got to stop. You got to stop long enough to, first of all, listen. You have to listen. That's the greatest gift we can give to other people, and it is the greatest gift we give ourselves. You have to stop and listen. What is God telling you or whomever you serve? You know, or believe in, what is it telling you, the universe, whoever, telling you to do, okay? Me teaching workshops happened organically. I was speaking. I was being invited to speak at events. When I would go out to sell my paper, and I have a bunch of friends who are also entrepreneurs, you know, and they would say, oh, T, where are you going to be? And I say, oh, I'm going to the Baptist church. And they would say, you still go to those church things? Let me tell you something about the Baptist church. I love it. Get me in a church, a craft fair. Here's why, and I'm going to tell you why. Because it's not like I have tube socks for sale. Because you can get those at any flea market. You can run up to Modell's and get those. No. What I'm selling, Deb, is a conversation piece. And I'm going to tell you something. The conversations that take place at my table are nothing short of ministry. Because here's the thing about women, okay? And I'm teaching this to my daughter because she's 11, okay? So she's getting ready to go into middle school. She just graduated and she's turning the corner. So I'm teaching her about the front row. Women, if they like something, they will never shut up about it. You're going to tell Regina, you're going to tell Jasmine, you want all of them to get some of this hair dye, okay? Or get this, or get this record by this lady who just came out. So when you have synergy, right, and energy, the paper brings them in. And then the next thing I know, we're standing there talking about it all. talking about it all. And what we learn is that we're more alike than we are different, right? So if you think your story is the story, it's the worst story. You went through this and you went through that and you went through that, join our club. There is nothing that has happened to anyone that someone else has not experienced. And that's why the front row is so important, and we can get into that later. But the workshops really happened organically. Me working one-on-one with women, that happened organically. I initially said, well, I just want to speak, okay? And then I started to have women say, I want to talk to you one-on-one. I would like to know how you did X, Y, and Z, or how you got through X, Y, and Z. And, you know, how are you so strong, and how are you so, we're all strong. We all have it, Deb. It's a matter of having someone walk alongside you and help you realize it in yourself. That's all it is. It's not magic. You know, I don't do lobotomies. It's having someone say, this is the roadmap. Here's the blueprint. When I say don't try this at home, I mean it. No, I mean it. I mean it. Because she's got papers in my stationery, which I love and has morphed into, I have corporate clients now. So I have two different sides of that business. But I'm talking about impact, you know, turning 43 years old next month. And the only thing on my mind in anything I do in my work, particularly, is about impact and about legacy. My son is 24 years old, okay? He never got to have me at home when he came home from school. My daughter's completely different. So when I sit down and I talk to her, well, she comes home and then she sits up in my window seat and cross her legs and have a tea. And she tells me about her day and what's going on. And these things, you know, I'm able to talk to her from a different place because I'm in a different place in my life. I'm in a different place as a mom. You know, I've evolved.
Right.
And that's what, at every stage of your life, you're constantly growing out of someone and growing into someone else. And you're doing that with the lessons and the tools that you have.
It's the evolution.
Yes.
That we were talking about briefly before the podcast started is, you know, something that I was saying that a lot of times what we see online is, you know, people are saying, oh, here's your roadmap to get to this.
Right.
And, you know, then you can do like me and I have a perfect life and you follow these steps and you'll get there too. And what people don't look at is what you're talking about, transitions, growth. Where you are today, where you might want to be tomorrow. No one's having these conversations. Right.
Or as I call it, the Instagram romanticism. You know. Instagram romanticism. You know.
Yes.
But what scares me more than anything is the generation that doesn't really know real life before the daily face, as my mother calls it. And Instagram and Snapchat and all these things came into play. Like once upon a time, speaking of the front row, once upon a time, your friends had your phone number. You know, if you were looking for me, you're not checking for me on Twitter. Call me. You know, call me. You know, and the more we think we're evolving in terms of social media, we're not. We are more separated and divided than we've ever been. And I'm not going to get into politics. That's my mother's arena. But I'm talking about in terms, listen, don't let Cheryl get on Trump. But no, I'm talking about in terms of relationships with one another. You know, this woman came to me. I was in Harlem a few weeks ago, and this woman came to my table, and she said to me, I need to get something for my mom. And I said, okay. And I said, well, you know, this might be good or this might be good. But then without getting into personal detail, we had a whole conversation about mothers relationships with mothers. And what I offered to her was this, and it's a lesson God will have me learn, because as I said, my son is an adult, except I had him when I was 19. Okay. And so I'm a completely different mom now. Okay. And I said to her, you're asking your mother for something that she doesn't have to give. See, we have children, right? And I tell my kids this. I tell them, you want me to do this, you want me to do that, you need this, you need that, you need this. But what you're forgetting is that outside of being your mother, I am a person. I'm a person first, right? I'm a person first. So in my workshop, I get into 5 keys these women need to really get and understand in order to what I call create a new reality. I've been creating a new reality for myself, Deb, since I was 19 years old. Okay? Wow. So the first key is self-love. That's the first key. Because love of self, we can do nothing without it. Okay? Nothing. The second key, and we get into a whole conversation about this, like really go deep. Acceptance. Acceptance. You can't change it. You cannot change it. So you gotta accept it. And I talked to them about the bag, and you know the bag, Deb. The bag that's filled with guilt, with shame, with ridicule. You gotta empty the bag, because I'm gonna tell you why. If you don't, that bag will undoubtedly break your back, okay? And it's gonna keep you from really living. Really living, okay? So once we get through those 2, then we can get into mindset, okay? And then goal setting. And then that, so important, front row. Okay. The front row is extremely, extremely important. These are your cheerleaders and your supporters who sit in that theater and they make sure you're good. They make sure you're good. They'll slow you down when you need it, okay? But they'll cheer you on so that you can get through, because none of us could get through this alone. None of us. Not one of us could say, I'm walking this walk by myself. No. No. So you need that. You know, you need to know what a real friend looks like. Don't get me started on reality television. It makes me think. I have to, first of all, I don't watch it and I blame my mother, okay? And she'll call me smoking a cigarette and telling me who did what and who had a fight. And I'm just thinking, wow. Because none of the women that I know and associate with, I can't imagine what might happen with Monique and I, where I might say, bitch, never. What? What could happen? We can disagree. We can say, you know something, I'm not really feeling you right now. We could do that because we're grown women. We're grown women. And when I have my daughter, you know, looking at me and I am her model, we can't exist that way. We can't exist that way. Because if we do, then what chance does the generation coming behind us have? They have no chance. So those are all of the things that I touch on, you know, in these workshops. When I'm working with the women, the young Taneas, as I call them, going from welfare to work, oh my God, they melt my heart. They melt my heart. And when I told my mother I wanted to do this, she said, well, you need to be prepared, Tanea. Because when you're doing something like this and it's a purpose-driven mission, you have to understand that you're not going to get everyone, right? Everyone is not going to get the message. So you kind of have to pull back and say, okay, I'm just going to go in and give it. And hopefully 1, 2, maybe 3 can receive it, right? And what I start off with in telling them is, I have to quote Susan Taylor, and I miss her at Essence Magazine, but she did a piece years ago, and one of her editor's notes, and in the editor's note it said, don't sweat where you are right now, for it is your blessed entry point. Every fork in the road, every bend, every curve, because it ain't going to be straight. No. That's not going to happen. Every bend, fork, curve, that is your blessed entry point. That means that you were on the road and something didn't go right, and you have an opportunity to learn from it. Mm-hmm. My mother didn't bank on me having Brandon when I was 19, but I did. And that was my blessed entry point. My grandmother said it best. She wrote me a letter. I have it, of course. Mm-hmm. You're not the first and you won't be the last, but what you do now is up to you. Because the ball is always in your court, Deb. I say to my children, you always have an option. You might not like it now, okay? Mm-hmm. There's always an option. And sometimes, and I think about my entire journey in corporate America, God always had something for me to do. He was just teaching me these lessons so that I get it. Who would think all these years later I would be talking to women who are entering the workforce about how to step in that room and stand like, yes, I belong here. I don't care if you just finished using your last food stamp. Yes, I belong here. Okay? You see yourself as successful. All right? Because what you say to yourself about yourself is more important than anything anybody could ever say. It's like my grandfather said, it ain't what they call you, baby. It's what you answer to. So, yeah. In saying all that, you never know where the path is going to lead, but it's up to you to heed the message. You have to. You have to heed those whispers.
I agree. That's very powerful. Things you're saying. You know, and I think that people a lot of times don't think about what you're talking about mindset and belief and all these things.
In my workshop, I do an exercise, and it's called Define Your Fabulous. Because here's the thing. My fabulous is not yours, Deb. Mm. The things that I want in life are not necessarily what you want. So it's really about getting connected to self, knowing deep down who you are, you know? So when we do Define Your Fabulous, and it's small. I do a very small round table workshop. I prefer not to have the table. Usually it's just 8 people. But I wanted that intimate because women need to feel safe enough to share and say, this is what's going on with me. You know, you pop up on Facebook and you watch the pictures and this and this and that. But have you ever stopped to really pick up the phone and call a friend and say, how are you? Right? Mm-hmm. What's going on? You don't know. So there's so much coveting that goes on. And at the end of the day, it's a facade. Yeah. You know, it's a facade. It's a facade. And we can blame so many things for that. You know, when I talk to the women about self-love, I say, I dare you, pick up any magazine on the newsstand, okay? They're telling you how to cut calories, how to lose pounds, how to take off 2 inches, how to do your lashes, what to do with your eyeball. Maybe I like all this just like this. Listen, Deb, when we finish up, I'm going to have my ice cream and jump on the treadmill. How about it? Maybe I like it just like this. Seriously. All you're doing is maybe stopping at the newsstand to get a pop of gum. Okay? A pack of gum. But before you even get a pack of double mint, you're like, wait a minute, maybe I should arch my brows. And maybe wait a minute. You know, no, you're bombarded. You're bombarded with these messages. Okay? And it doesn't stop. They're starting young. Okay? It's from young to old. No one is escaping this. No age group. You know, and it's like, wait a minute, it's too much. It's too much and it's destructive.
That's true. But that's how they get, I guess how the powers that be get people to always focus on what's wrong with them and how they can be perfect when perfection doesn't exist.
Doesn't exist. It does not exist.
It does not exist. You know, I mean, I was a copywriter years ago and I worked for Avon. Used to have a company called Avon Fashions and it was more of a catalog company actually. They didn't really have a store. But I can remember years ago where they would take pictures of models with the swimsuits And these models they didn't look like regular women look. They're taller, they're thinner, and they were still airbrushing and cutting out parts of their bodies to make them look even smaller than they actually were. And they already were smaller and taller than the average woman was. So a woman's going to get that catalog and think this person really looks that way, and she doesn't look like that way in real life anyway. It's all being changed, and women's magazines have always had heavy airbrushing, heavy, all kinds of things are done to make the body look completely different, or the face of the person, remove things off their face if they really have like freckles or marks, or just doing all kinds of cosmetic surgery on paper to make you think something that's not true. So to always make you think somehow that you were lacking in something, that if you only bought this product now, magically you would be okay and everything would be wonderful and beautiful. And, that's part of the whole mind game thing. And I think that also gets applied, as we're saying, to business and people who may want to go out there and do something on their own. And they, I was just looking at a quick video earlier today, and the person's like, of course I followed this person's program. And then now I only work 12 days a month, and I make all this money, and life is beautiful. And it's like, well, I know that's bullshit. I'm going to say it straight out. Because there's no way that that's happening. You're not doing less to get more. You're putting in, you may be putting in a different level of effort if you can afford to hire people, but you still have to manage your business, and you still have to manage people, and you still have to have a vision for where it's going, and you have to have some leadership to lead the people to your, there's all kinds of different skills now that are called into play for you to step into when you're playing this different game that they never talk about.
Exactly.
Never.
Exactly. And how you're playing every role. You're wearing every single hat. Yeah.
They never talk about that. So the average person sees this glamorous vision because they don't know any better, and then it's not so, and then they think I'm doing something wrong. Oh, I got to pay this person more money to show me more of this roadmap that doesn't really exist, because there is no straight line to any of this stuff.
Absolutely not.
If there was, we'd all be on it. We'd all be doing. We'd all be doing this. We would be doing this podcast from an island, because we'd all own our own island if it was like that. So anybody who's listening, I'm just saying, if everybody isn't following, then everybody would have followed the steps, and everybody would be successful at that level, whatever level is you think they should be. So obviously this is not so accurate.
Exactly. Yeah.
You got to look at, as you're saying, your mindset, look at what you want, and there's a lot of self-examination that goes on, and growth, as you're saying, to bring you to where you want to be.
Right. Absolutely. And when you make a transition, you have to do it strategically. You don't just run out and play in traffic. You can't. You can't. It really is a recipe for disaster. So what people, think is the shiny object, and those who are really, truly successful, that took years. That took blood, sweat, and tears and sacrifices that you don't even know about, So you're not going to get something for nothing. It's just not going to happen, So you have to be willing to, like I said earlier, take the lumps and bumps. You have to be willing to stop and say, wait a minute, this is not working. I have to recalibrate. You have to have some people in that Rolodex that you can call who have done this before and who are willing. And what I find really interesting, and a lot of people don't know or don't take heed to, people who are successful and truly successful and secure in what they do, they will help you. People will help you. Because there's no fear. Well, they understand wealth mindset, right? Lack mindset means I'm not going to tell you nothing. I'm going to keep all this information to myself. That's lack mindset, okay? Wealth mindset is there's enough for all of us. And you eating is not going to stop me from having this good piece of steak here, right? And that's the best way, that's the best analogy for me to use. We could all eat at this table. I said to my girlfriend the other day, we could all thrive at the same damn time. Mm-hmm. And that's my creed. I can't tell you how many women would reach out to me, you know, when I would have a feature or a press or whatever it is. Even women who were my early customers with She's Got Papers would send me notes, you know, I want to start something on the side. How should I do it? Deb, I have nothing to lose by sharing what I know. Nothing. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Nothing. And when you do that, you'll see that all that kindness is repaid in so many different ways. I have had kindnesses extended to my children where I'm like, wow, what was that? You know, and it's everything that you're paying forward into the universe, into the world. What are you giving out? Everything is about perspective. You know, with this whole social thing, it's about perception, right? Perception. Right. Mm-hmm. And you have to be able to decipher. Like you said, when you listen to, you know, whomever you were following, and you was like, okay, so she's speaking fluent bullshit. You know, you know what that is because you do this every day, you know. Mm-hmm. But for people who are just coming in, you know, it's like, I'm not going to drink just a cup of the Kool-Aid. I'm going to drink this whole picture. Really? Really? No, because it hasn't dawned on you. You drowning? You're going to drink the whole picture. You're going to buy that whole damn program? Oh, okay. and then go into debt to do it? Oh, okay. Okay. Or as my grandfather used to say, well, baby, if they sleep, leave them sleep. For real. No, because there's a lot of sleeping going on. Yes. Right? You're definitely at rest. You're most definitely at rest. It's like if it were that easy, everybody would do it.
That's it. That's the point. I think that people don't have maybe use their critical thinking if they have those skills to consider that even though these people are trying to make you think that they're giving you a secret that no one else knows, they're not. They're just using that as a way to make you think you're getting some kind of information no one else has.
Nothing. It's not magic. It's not going to happen by magic. It's not. You know, the work is the work, and you have to do the work. And that's the bottom line. There is no magic potion or pill. You know, it's just not. You know, I was watching an interview a few months ago, and Michael Bivins from New Edition was talking about when they first started. He said, no, we had to practice. Okay, for hours. We had to bring it. When we did these talent shows, not so anymore. Not so anymore. You know, think about Patti LaBelle. My mother and I talk about this all the time. Patti LaBelle, James Brown, Gladys Knight in the Pit, who opened the door for what's going on right now, which is instant celebrity. Instant. Right? No, dues in anything you do, dues have to be paid. Right. So you need to walk in with your eyes wide open, not shut. Okay? Don't drink the whole pitcher. Okay? Have a sip, but don't drink the whole damn pitcher of Kool-Aid. You have to walk in with eyes wide open and knowing, okay, this is what it's going to take. This is what it's going to take. And I'm willing to get this done. If I want to have longevity.
And that's the thing. And I don't think that the people that they're appealing to are not thinking that way. You know, especially they haven't been around the block a few times. They're thinking instant and whatever I'm going to do is just going to instantly come to me. And I'm not thinking about what happens after the fact and how do I maintain this and how do I grow this and where am I going from here? Because the people selling you these solutions are making money selling you a solution, you know, based on what you think. I need this right away. They know what words to use. They know how to push the buttons to get you to hand over the money. But, you know, these people are teaching you. They're making money teaching people how to do something, but they're not actually doing the thing. You know, there's a big difference between a person teaching you how to make money as a coach than the person who's actually coaching. it's not the same business. It's not the same kind of business. So you can't follow what they do because you're not doing the same thing. And, you know, that's the thing that it took a long time for me to realize is that the people who are making the money aren't doing the thing. They're the ones teaching you how to do the thing. Right. Which is a totally different business. It's a totally different market. It's not the same thing. I gotta be honest with you. If I was making all this money doing X, I wouldn't be sitting here trying to sell you on my system for doing X. I'd just be making the money doing X and going on vacation. I wouldn't be wasting my time.
You're so right. You are so right. No, you are. No, but you're right. You're right.
Why would I do that? That's a whole other work you have to do to create a business. Now I'm going to I'm sharing my expertise. Then why aren't you just going ahead and doing the thing?
And doing the thing.
Making all your money and going and living your life and going on vacation that you claim you're always on. Why now are you going to take on this whole other thing?
Deb. You claim you're always on.
Right. But I had to go through that transition of seeing that myself and understanding we're trying 201 programs and not getting anywhere, realizing a lot of these same programs saying the same exact things. And I finally understanding that, well, one, I would have to do exactly what they're doing to get the same result, not what I'm doing. And then finally realizing that I was trying to buy into an instant success thing and I want someone to hold my hand and walk me through this path that I thought I needed, this roadmap to this place I want to get to, because I thought that I didn't know what to do and how to do it. And so if someone could just tell me exactly what to do and how to find the pot of gold, it's okay. Then like you were saying, you're waiting for that thing to happen.
That
when that thing happens, everything's going to be great. And you're still looking because everybody promises you that they've got the map to the pot of gold. Each person is telling you that, and all you have is a lot of holes dug up in your backyard. You know what I'm saying? That's all you got at the end of the day. That's it. Because there's no thing.
There's no thing. No, it's true. It's true. There is no thing. There's no shortcut. There's no magic key. It doesn't exist. It does not exist.
And, you know, so what you're saying about, you know, you're transitioning and going out there and finding, as you're adding more things to your business and finding different direction that feels good for you. You know, it's really important. It's real important to really share that, because people, I think, often are afraid to go in that direction they're led because they think they're wrong.
Well, I think that, first of all, self-awareness is the key, right? Self-awareness is the key. So when you're solid about who you are and what gift you have to give in this world, you're not going to be lost. You're not going to get lost, right? That's not going to happen. When like I said, I didn't know. Even when I started She's Got Papers, I said, when I do this paper, I have to do it really different. Okay? Hence all the pieces that came out about, you know, walking the walk is the hardest part. That's my life as a teenage mother. That's my life. Okay? You know, love of self is the greatest gift. I didn't see this coming, to be honest with you. I started speaking, like I said, being invited to speak at, you know, different events, you know, and having these conversations with women at my table. It organically happened. So that was God saying to me, okay, you can make the paper and everything, and they can buy the paper, and, you know, someone wants to write a note, and that's beautiful, but I got something else for you. Okay? And when he says, I got something else for you, you can't be scared of it. You can't be afraid of that, right? So you have other women or coaches, you know, out speaking about mindset and confidence and this and that. No one can walk in and tell the Tanea Smith story. No one. Because no one has walked this walk. No, and I tell the young women, I say to them, if you're ready, let's go. Because this is not your first program. It's not going to be your last program, but it's your first program like this, okay? Where we're going to sit down and get to the real heart of the matter. And we do that with the exercises that we do. And, you know, the drill, they have workbooks, they have journals, okay? Because I believe that everything starts in the mind first. Then you write it down, you make it plain, you see it clearly. But Deb, this was not on my radar 10 years ago or even 5 years ago. It's about really getting in touch and in tune with who you are and what you have to give. I'm going to walk this road, and I'm going to walk this road in my purpose, okay? I had someone ask me to come and speak at her event, and I said no. And she said, why? I said, because it's not my audience. You know, and they were talking about, you know, up-leveling, you know, 6-figure and 7-figure business. Those are not my audience. My audience is the young woman who feels like, I just don't know where I'm going or what I'm doing. I'm stuck in this now, and I'm trying to get to my next, right? And I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to get there. I'm confused. You know, I don't think I can do this. That's my girl. That's my young girl, okay? And my older girl is saying, I'm leaving this job behind. I'm starting something new. I'm leaving this life behind. I'm tired of where I am. I'm tired of being tired. That's my lady. Those are the women in my workshop, okay? And we got to unpack the bag. You know, we got to get you doing what you need to do to take care of yourself, being compassionate, okay, because that's what self-love shows up as, compassion, okay? We got to get into changing your mind, okay? We have to put down on paper just 3. I'm into 3s: Father, Son, Holy Spirit, Earth, Wind, and Fire. 3. Only thing we can do is 3 things, okay? We're going to get into that, and then I want to know who your support is. We're talking about building that circle around you that's going to help you do it, right? And what other people are doing in programs, I think as time goes on, it's like you say, you learn. You had to do a few of those programs to say, this ain't shit. Like that. Like that. And as my grandfather used to say, oh, baby, everything comes out in the wash. It's true. It is so true. I can sit in an audience at a conference and someone is speaking and I say to myself, time for me to use the restroom, because I know what I'm hearing. Right?
Right.
So I think it's about authenticity. It's about authenticity. I talked to my daughter about her friends. I said, let me tell you something. People will show their hand, my love. And when they show their hand, don't try to unsee it now. Okay?
Right.
Don't try to say, no, put your hand back in your pocket. No, show me. Show me so I know, so I can identify it, okay? Or as Dion says, call a thing. And then I can go across the street, right? So I think as time goes on, people will separate the wheat from the chaff. That's going to happen. I hope it don't cost you your whole retirement, but that's going to happen. People are going to say, well, no, I'm looking for this specifically. I had a coach years ago when I was building my signature speech. And she said to me, Tanea, I want you to go out and start booking. And I said, okay, you know. And then she said, Tanea, are you booking anything? And I said, no. And then she checked in again and she said, you know, you booking anything? And I said, well, you know, because I'm busy and I'm doing the paper and I'm working and my children, James. And she said, okay, so listen, I don't want to hear from you again until you book something. Let me tell you something, Deb. That's a coach. That's a coach. It was really, her message was clear. We're not friends and you're not my cousin. You took the program. You have everything that you need. No, but here's the working with a nonprofit here in New York City. I said to the woman who runs it, I said they can only take the program once. She said, what do you mean? I said they can only take it once. Here's why, Deb. Here's why. You have the information. Take it and walk it. You're not my cousin. I have cousins, okay? Take the information. Take it. Take it. And I think a lot of times what happens with entrepreneurs, we become serial. You're on a never-ending quest, like you said. So you're going to do this program, you're going to do that. You're going to get on her newsletter, you're going to go here. And here's the thing. It's all the same, and it boils down to the work. Are you going to do the work, or are you not? Because they will take your cash, okay? Because gas, electric, telephone, and rent. No, but they will. So I was clear. When I wrote out the curriculum, and what the requirements were for the program, and I said, you can only take it once. You can only take it once. And here's the thing. I can make multiple coins on this program, but that's not what I want. I'm here to give you something. You want it? Because if you want it and you're ready to do the work, you're going to take it and say, see you later, Tanea. That's what I want.
Right.
This is not a love affair. It's a one-night stand. It's a fling. It's a fling. This is not a love affair. No, it's not. It's not. And Deb, I'm going to tell you something. That's what a good coach does. They want to see you fly. Ha ha. They want to see you fly. Right. They don't want you, I took this. Come back in 2 weeks. Now I got something else for you. Come back. No. And I mean a good coach in terms of what I do. I'm here to seriously help you walk into a new reality. That's what I'm here for. I'm not here for you to take level 1, come back to level 5. Send your friend. She could take it twice. No. And I'm going to tell you something. A good coach doesn't have the bandwidth for that. You don't have the bandwidth for that. When you are doing purpose-driven work, okay, and this is what I absolutely believe God put on my spirit to do, to teach and help those. I wish I had a program like this when I started in corporate America. I had to learn that on my own, but in this program, here's what you need to know. Here are some things that are going to come up. This is how you should handle those things, right? A good coach is coming to give you what you need at that time. That is how I approach my work. And I will tell you something. There's nothing more fulfilling and rewarding to hear from someone to say, Tanea, I just feel so much better about myself. I'm getting there. Because every day, we're all just trying to get there, Deb. Nobody has got this thing figured out. Nobody got the market cornered on this thing. One of my mentors is 83 years old. She said to me, darling, you think I'm mentoring you, but I learn things from you every time we talk. We're all trying to figure it out. So if you have someone who is willing to trust you with their truth, with their struggle, you owe it to them to give them real value. It's all about getting with people who are in alignment with you. And I think to go back to your point, when you're on this never-ending search for the magic bullet in the special pill, you're going to be searching for a long time.
That's so true. Yeah. And I think that's it, and as we were, talking about, all this ties together, talking about the reality programs and saying about how the catalog I work for, just trying to create these images, if people begin to think something's wrong with them, if they don't look this way, if they don't have success this way, if they don't live in this place, the whole list goes on and on. Yeah. It's all created to make people feel lesser than who they are, and it's not really created to help them to grow into what they want to be. It's more to tell you you're wrong, you're bad, I have the secret, I have the formula, come here and I'll give you the special secret sauce that only I can give you if you give me your money. And here it is.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but don't forget to take out a second mortgage on your house. No, it's true though. It's so true. No, listen, I have heard the story. I have heard the stories. You know, I've heard the stories. I have. And
as you said again, it's a mindset. It's your thinking, feeling, what you think about yourself, what you see for yourself. All of that has to take place from within first, so that when all these assaults come from the outside, you still know who you are, what you want, your growth, your progression is what you can stay focused on, instead of every day running and chasing the next bright, shiny thing, or the next roadmap, or the next person who tells you they have your, they have your answer, come here and get it.
Exactly.
That doing that work that you have done would help people to know that they don't have to be chasing all these different people around. Not to say that you can't find mentors and people who can assist you, but they're not trying to tell you there's only one path to where you're
exactly. Because there's not, and one size doesn't fit all. One size does not fit all.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It doesn't. And that's a great point to make as well. Because you would think that they do when you see these people, there's similar things that they're saying out here, kind of all selling the same, cure, the same, thing they're selling. And they all sound the same after a while, and they're saying there's only one way to get there, and if you come there my way, then you'll have everything I have, which is essentially what they're saying. But for people to kind of start to believe that they know what's best for them, they know what they want, they know what they're trying to achieve, and also to understand their own growth and progression through life. So the thing that they're putting out into the world has to grow with them and progress with them. But definitely share with everyone where they can find out more about you.
They can go to TaneaSmith.com. I have a free resource, and it is the 3 steps you must take to start thriving in life. So it'll get you on the same page in terms of what I do in the workshop for creating a new reality. So they can go there, and also my speaking materials are there, and they can go to she'sgotpapers.com to see the paper, because the paper are the supporting characters. They started it all. So you can see the paper there, and I'm on Instagram at She's Got Papers, in and out. I'm on Instagram, in and out. And Facebook, She's Got Papers, and Twitter, Inspired by SGP.
So everybody can find out more and learn more, and definitely check out all your products and speaking and all that good stuff. It's always a wonderful conversation, and
this was fun. I feel like I'm in your living room. Truly, it was so much fun, Deb.
Well, I've certainly enjoyed it, as I always do when you're on. We always have a good time.
Thank you. Yeah, it was. It was a blast.
Yes, we always have a great time. Is there any final thoughts or anything that you'd like to leave the listeners with?
I do. And it's something that I've been thinking about as I've been, teaching the workshops and meeting all these fantastic women and hearing their stories and going on their journeys with them. I want to just leave with the audience. You are the greatest contribution to this world. Your greatest contribution to this world is your authentic self. So just be her. Just be her. And don't try not to, and it's difficult because of the times we live in, and like we said, if it's not one thing, it's the other. Just focus on you, the wonderful, fabulous, fantastic lady that is you. And that's really what I would love for your audience to take away from this conversation.
That's perfect. Yeah, I want to just thank you so much for returning to the show and sharing your wisdom and your journey.
Thank you for having me, Deb.
Yes, thank you. I'm just very happy to reconnect with you and to have you come on. You're very welcome. It's just been a fantastic conversation.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I know everybody's going to get something out of this that they can learn from and take away with them.
Good.
So, yeah,
good.
I'm just
glad.
happy.
I'm glad.
Great. So everybody, I know you enjoyed this. So please make sure you share it on social media. Please visit Tanea's website, check out her things. And certainly, leave a review about what you've heard and how what your feedback is. Be sure to share that as well. Really, really appreciate it if you would do that. So once again, from Women Entrepreneurs Radio with your host, Deborah Bailey. So glad you could join us today. And we will see you again next time. Bye. Thanks for joining us. You can also join in the conversation on Facebook.com/Women Entrepreneurs and on the website, WomenEntrepreneurSecrets.com. And don't forget to listen in on dvcoach.podomatic.com and on iTunes.